I am about to welcome Bryn Kenney. I think probably no matter what, there's going to be a lot of negative feedback. The whole time, though, that I've been in this poker space, I've encountered lots of weird and dramatic situations and lots of things that came and went, and always at the core of who I am. I really want to be honest, and I want to get to what the truth is. And I hope that Bryn shares those sentiments. I think that he does. And so welcome on the man of the hour, Bryn Kenney.
Hello, always nice to see you, Sarah. Maybe not the most pleasant circumstances this week, but you know, life gives you what it gives you, and all you can do is manage that and not hope for something different.
You know, I think we all know that once things start spiraling out of control, especially in social media, a lot of things can get missed or overlooked, or people come, I've seen it happen lots of times, people come with pitchforks and lay on the sword, if you will. But this situation is really unique because as it's all evolved, it didn't really start with you, but it feels like this is where the most traction has ended up, is talking about you and your stables and your life. And so here we are. And I think I was trying to decide what would be the best way to sort of dig into all the things that we need to cover. And I thought for a lot of people who are already, you know, deep in the poker space and in the high roller community, they're already going to understand a lot of what we're talking about. But I think there's a lot of people who are interested or who are paying attention to what's happening, who maybe don't have as clear of an idea of how some things worked. So I wanted to talk to you first of all, just about what it means to have, say, a stable of horses, and what that looks like for people who do have this, where you find these people, how people tend to run their stables, how you ran your stable, that maybe we need to start in breaking that down first.
Yeah, perfect. So throughout my whole poker career, I guess I really like action. I like helping people. So throughout my whole poker career, I've backed hundreds, if not 1,000 or over 1,000 people at different times. And usually, and how that works is the backer would put up all of the money for that person to play the events that you agree that they're able to play, and then there would be some type of split based on the winnings of what they made after all investments were paid to the backer.
One of the first things that someone said to me about you, you came in with like a very large stack, I think, of cash at the time, and were sort of dishing it out to people in the tournaments going through. And one of the first things anyone ever said to me about you was, oh, he has a lot of guys. He has a lot of action. He runs a large stable, if you will. And this was probably 8 or 10, 10, maybe 12 years ago, actually now. And this was my first introduction to that whole world. And so one of the things that I know from lots of high rollers now is that, you know, when people have a stable, it's their business, right? So they choose to run it however they want, and different people do it different ways. But tell me a little bit about how you would choose the people that you would invest in, and then what that would look like for them, maybe years ago, and then also now. How have you managed this stable?
Well, just like being someone that's like completely entrenched in the poker community, me traveling to tournaments all around the world, you would wind up meeting people that you played with online, or just meeting people live for the first time. And then, like someone told you that it was known that I would have a big stable, other people would know that in the poker community. So sometimes it would be friends of mine at the time that I was backing would recommend another friend of theirs to me. And when I was young, I was really very careless about it all. I just had a lot of money coming to me. I started having a lot of success at an early age, and was really acting careless and putting a lot of people into maybe events that, you know, wasn't necessarily a good business decision for me. And then at the same time, you wind up getting in just rough spots with people, because the thing about backing is when someone gets down a lot of money, it's all about their mental composure and their ability to accept what happened and to move forward in a positive or a better way, which is really difficult when everything is crashing down on you, especially at an earlier age when poker was just at the start of its popularity. Someone would be used to, they would win a tournament maybe and get a sensation from that, and they would maybe kind of like a drug, would be hooked on that winning sensation a little bit. So when you go through long periods of losing, it can really crush your morale and get you into that mindset of losing and kind of expecting that happens. So as time goes on, you get more and more selective of the people that you do business with, people that are, you want to be surrounded in life by positive people. You want to, have people that are interested in their own personal growth, because poker's a game that's always constantly evolving, and with that mental strain and the strain of also others just knowing your finances and if you're doing well, there can be a lot of things that come crashing on you when things go poor. And at the same time, I was giving a lot of my energy in the early days of my career, staking just too many people, and I wasn't allowing myself to focus enough on my own personal growth. And as I got older, I realized how important that is to incorporate more balance into your life.
Okay, so clearly you're getting older, wanting to surround yourself with good people and invest in quality people, and yet we have this Martin Zamani who comes out and makes lots of allegations and was a part of your stable, I think, or you can say that whether he was or not. And so how did this relationship start? How did it sour? Why do you think he's decided to come out now and make all of these claims?
So he contacted me, and he had done business with another person that I happened to do business to at the time. That didn't really go well. So the way that he presented himself to me at first was really him being a victim in this whole relationship that he had. And, me being a person that really, I would say that I'm very sensitive and very caring and try to help others who might have had unfortunate scenarios. So he didn't really have any friends that were connected to anyone that I staked. And at that time, I might have slipped a little bit and started staking a little more people than I would really like doing. And yeah, so that's the way that I was introduced to him.
Okay, and so then the transition for a horse for you would be, okay, I put him in a few things, maybe we see how things go. And then, he said he had to go to Mexico, he needed to train with people that you trusted. Is all this kind of standard for how your stable would run? If you bring someone into the fold, then this is what it's going to look like.
Yeah, well, like going to Mexico, that's because, to legally play online, you've got to play outside of the country. So going to Mexico was like a personal choice of his, because he wanted to play in the tournaments that were happening online at the time right then. And at the same time, by me getting wiser and smarter along the process, I wasn't really putting in any money or time or energy into people that had no interest to improve their poker game or to improve their life. Martin's a person that, through our conversations, he's someone who told me that he's actually never been happy in life. And someone like me, the way that I am, it makes me feel actually really sad for someone to really say that, if that's their truth, because I feel like someone that's so fortunate, that's had such a blessed, happy existence. And really something that I pride myself on is trying to bring some happiness or assistance to people that may not have had that same fortunate upbringing and existence that I have. So recommending someone to eat healthy, or, here's a yoga instructor that, I'm happy to pay for you. Here's a masseuse that I'm happy to pay for you. Here's an expert in this field that, I'll you should meet this person. And, then it's all up to an adult and a person to make decisions if they want to go ahead with meeting this person or doing whatever it is that's being recommended to them. And I would say I'm also someone that steers very far away of trying to put, I mean, at least my attempt, I know that I have a strong personality, so sometimes things can come across a different way, but consciously myself, I really try to steer away from putting pressure on anyone of what I feel like that they should do or that they have to do, as opposed to I would try to show them some tools that have helped me to be better, to improve my poker game, to improve my life. And then it's up to them to determine or to decide if those work for them. While at the same time, if you have someone that you're staking that is, losing at the time, continuously being negative, and people close to you are, recommending that you stay far away from this person, I would say that I'm someone who gives people many chances, and I try to see the best in everyone and try to bring out the best in everyone. And sometimes that can be a detriment to me, but at the same time, that's something that I'm happy with of myself and wouldn't want to change anything.
But so obviously things with Martin at some point got pretty salty. And it's interesting because at least I think that what a lot of people in the poker community want to understand, and something that Doug asked that Martin didn't appear to want to disclose, is why is he saying this now? Why is he coming out now? And I think there's some speculation that maybe there was like a blackmail element, or maybe I saw also that he tweeted that it's one of the things he feels great about doing. So I guess I'm wanting to know from your perspective, did you see this kind of thing coming, and what happened between you two that led to this clear rift?
So for the way that the business closed with me and him is he was actually in like 350,000 in makeup and was just continuously losing and having a negative attitude. And at the same time, at that point, I think he owed me about somewhere in the 100 to 150,000 on the side from just things apart from the stake. And he still owes me, and just decided that he wasn't going to pay me for that. So, but another, like you're saying about that blackmail element. So on this Mexico trip that he talks about very much, he actually spoke with one of my close friends and told them that he was going to blackmail me. So this is like one of the reasons why business closed like right after that, because here's someone that I'm trying to help and I'm trying to steer in the right path, and in his mind he wants to find dirt on me to blackmail me and extort me, really. And I think that what happened is in the past 1.5 years he's been trying desperately to find any proof of these allegations that he's claiming, which really have no proof at all. I mean, not proof, they have no truth to them at all. Coming out with saying things like me using real-time assistance or me recommending this to my horses to use. I've never looked at real-time assistance in my life. I've never used any programs when playing or at all. I've never seen these programs. I play my own style of poker, and I always have. And I think if you were to speak with anyone who's played high stakes with me, they would tell you that clearly I don't have a game or a style that incorporates any of this, while at the same time accusing me of things like having my horses collude in satellites. The real funny thing about that is the names that he's listed, if you actually check up like their stats online, they're all huge losers. Like I was in the start with GG, helping them to grow their site, to grow their guarantees, to run bigger tournaments. So did I have horses that would start these satellites? Absolutely, but in no way. And it could be, it's so easily verified by, let's say, the 20 people that I've been doing business with since I started dealing with GG, that there's not a single correspondence of me or an ask or of anything of me asking anyone to do anything wrong in any way. For me, I see myself as the person who loves poker more than anyone in the world. And what I love about poker is its pure form. I would never get involved in any type of business that wasn't clean. And an important thing to remember too is, I've been in the poker spotlight for the past 17 years or so, maybe completely in the poker spotlight for the past 15 years. And through all the people that know and all the people in the community, I would say that if not the most, I'm one of the most respected people in the industry. Doing something untold or some type of cheating in these small stake satellites, it's effectively saying that, okay, here I'm gambling for millions of dollars and doing business for millions of dollars, and my reputation, my word is so important and has been so strong for forever. And here I am stealing thousands of dollars. It doesn't make any sense at all for a person who cares about these things and their word and reputation so important to them. In the start of 2019, I found myself in a spot where I had my first ever losing year in 2018. I was in about $3.5 million in makeup, and I owed about another $1 million on the side. So I started the deal with the person who was backing me at the end of 2017, after I had a really big year and kind of had a bad run from the start of that backing until the start of 2019, in like that year and a quarter or so. So in the start of 2019, that person says to me, hey, I think that this 3.5 million that you're down, like the number's too big, and I'm willing just to wipe the number clean and to start our stake back at zero. And this is someone that I had no money at the time. I had it's not like I had assets or property. I had nothing. I needed to win $5.5 million just to get even at that point. And before the person could get the words out of their mouth, I told them that there's no chance that I would accept that, because for me, like, a deal and my word is just so much deeper than I think maybe others feel theirs. And it's always been so important to me. So for me, it was, when we came into this agreement in 2017, it was for high stakes games. So in my mind, it's very easy to lose 3.5 million when the tournaments that you're playing are $100,000 buy-in, $250,000 buy-in, maybe $500,000 on the stake and $1 million buy-in or so. So it's not like it's a bunch of big tournaments that added up right there. But at the same time, when I got into that deal, I see myself as someone that's strong and that can get through that adversity. And because it's like that deal, and every deal that I make is like a bond for me and my word and what I believe in. So if I were to accept like washing that money, it's almost like, to me, it would mean that what happened was too insurmountable for me and I couldn't get through it, and it was too much and too difficult.
This, I think, leads into what we do need to cover, the Lauren Roberts stuff for sure. But before that, I kind of want to finish some of the things that Zamani brought up and just specifically then address those, such as, what do you say to the accusation that you could see his screen? And I do think Doug like pointed out a few holes in his theory, but I just want you to address it. Could you see?
It's absolutely crazy.
Okay.
I mean, it's one of the craziest things that I've ever heard in my life, and has absolutely zero truth to it.
Okay, so then I feel like we also have to address this image of your screen, which contains TeamViewer and NordVPN.
Well, like, TeamViewer just when you have it downloaded, it's just something that like pops up when you turn on your screen, and it's a useful tool for being able to have communication with people, while at the same time I was absolutely not using TeamViewer. The people who do business with me know that I don't even have the time. I make that very clear that I don't have the time to really even coach them at all, let alone do anything untold in that regard.
Okay. And so for you, you use it for that, and maybe sometimes you're coaching people, or I don't have TeamViewer on my computer. I didn't even know what it was. I do have VPN software. So what are like reasons why people in poker would have this that are non-nefarious? For those who are watching who don't really understand, does that make sense? I need you to like.
I mean, I'm just really trying to think, because I've given such little coaching to people like over the past few years, because I really have, been like balancing my time with other stuff. So I've made it so clear that, hey, if I'm going to back someone, I believe in that person, and I'm going to give them the proper tools to try to be successful in poker. But as as anyone who I've dealt with recently can attest, I've really given no time at all to coach people outside a game. Inside a game, absolutely not. But what I would connect them with other friends or better players, and set up sometimes group lessons for them to join and to work on their game.
Which I think we also need to, before we move to the Lauren stuff, we need to address then the accusations about Sergei Reikic and what your, relationship is with him. He has since sent some things that Martin Zamani had sent him after they sort of showered this WSOP event. But do you want to just address some of the Sergei stuff?
Absolutely, because Sergey's a good friend of mine, and I think he's a really honest and good person. And from my personal, view of him, he's someone that works as hard or harder than anyone inside the poker world. When he was playing in high stakes tournaments, every hour that he wasn't playing, he would be studying on the side. So being someone that, really I think is such a good person and has put in so much work to the game, I've asked Sergey to do coaching for people, because Sergey I see as one of the best in the world, a world-class player, and I would ask him to give assistance to, of course, during group sessions that are accounted also that Martin's been a part of. There would be group sessions that would be set up once a week, sometimes with Sergi or with Bert Stevens, where these were the guys who were the best players who I staked. And I was trying to get, I would say that goes in line with trying to give the tools to anyone that's close to me or in business with me to be successful. And sometimes even the people that were in those calls were people that I wasn't backing at the time, but just people that I liked and wanted to help them progress in their poker career.
Okay, so what do you say to the allegations basically that Sergey was ghosting for Zamani?
Well, okay, so when you're someone who backs like a lot of people, of course you can't be in every bit of conversation of detail. So on this trip, Martin was there and getting coaching from Sergi outside of the game. And on this particular night, and I'm just saying what Sergi and Martin have said to me, Sergi was out with his wife to dinner, and Martin sent him a message saying, "Hey, I'm deep in this tournament, can you come over?" And I think they both admitted that that's exactly what happened. But at no point did I instruct that that's what he should do, that either of them should do that in this circumstances. I've said the opposite, actually. And, it's something that happened between the two of them. And from all that Martin said, it happened one night, and it might have happened between 3 to 4 hands or so. So, if that was something that was, prevalent, that let's say on this trip, if I were to say, okay, this is what I want you to do when you're when you're deep in a tournament, like, call Sergi and have him help you. Then throughout that month, there would have been much more occurrences than just this one occurrence for a few hands. And actually, the week after this hand, Martin actually wound up three-handed in a 10K tournament. And with three people left and having a good stack equal to the two other guys, he somehow got all in with 7-deuce offsuit or 7-deuce suited. And it's like at these times you see when people are playing for like a lot of money and, giving no care for your money and just outright playing bad or careless, you start to rethink being in business with these people. So, while Martin was in the same building as Sergi on this trip for a whole month, and all that he said was that Sergi helped him in this one tournament at the end, which he requested him to do. And during the time I had zero knowledge of and didn't ask or request any of that to happen.
So he says he did not open up his laptop and use real-time assistance. Zamani claims that he did. Is this something that you've seen, witnessed? Is this something that you would help facilitate? I think a lot of the solvers and things are extremely expensive. If I might be wrong. So maybe you can help understand.
I've never seen Sergi use any of this stuff. I've never heard it being used, that he was using it from any of our close friends that have been around him much more than Martin. He knows that personally I'm completely against doing anything like that. And really, I believe him 100% when he says that he hasn't used any of this real-time assistance. And like you were saying about these conversations, sites have different ideas of if you can use certain pre-flop charts, like while you're playing, that, it's a gray area, that it's okay from this side and it's unaddressed from this side and it's okay from this one. And I'm pretty sure he admitted to using some of these pre-flop charts. And that's also something that I had no knowledge of. Not to say that, I'm saying, oh, it was so bad for you to use it. But at the same time, I had no knowledge that he was using anything inside the game. And if I did, him and anyone else that's close to me would say that I would have adamantly been against it.
I feel like I want to flush out some of the stuff with the stables and the satellites and things like that. But I also want to tackle some of this Lauren Roberts stuff. And I feel like while we're on the subject of talking about ghosting and that this isn't something that you would have approved or encouraged in your stable, Lauren has made a lot of allegations, one of which is you ghosting on her account. And she has said that you told her that she won a poker tournament and that suddenly she had less makeup or something along those lines. I think she said magically our number went down after she won a tournament. So what would you say to that allegation? And
well, she's made another allegation that doesn't connect to each other at all. So, she has it here saying that I was ghosting on her account, while there's a screenshot of her account losing, I think, 2.2 million on a straight down decline, while at the same time making a claim that I was, whatever word, taking advantage of her being in games and having all my horses kind of hunt her. So I don't understand how, one side she can state that I was playing on her account, but then on the other side I was having people hunt her because she was, a weak player.
I mean, I think the allegation is basically that you were playing that you were having your horses take money from her and then also periodically taking money back from your horses.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It goes in line to be something so crazy because, inside that, Martin was saying that in these satellites, that he should call the players with any two cards. And, this doesn't make any sense. You're not going to actually make money if you employ this strategy. And, why would I ever want to move money from one side to the other? And that would also mean that I had multiple people involved in, this complex scenario that really makes no sense, while at the same time, me and Lauren for a period, I think it was 4 years ago, I would say that Lauren was my best friend like 4 years ago. We were spending a lot of time together. She was nice to offer me a room to stay in her house, and she loved poker, and we would talk about poker all day, and we would have good laughs, and we went on multiple trips around the world, and I was trying to do the same thing. I was trying to recommend her people that could help enhance her life in terms of health, and even doctors, and try to offer her coaching from people who I was staking, and I was giving her coaching myself for no incentive. So the other thing is, Lauren can't say that I ever had any piece of her at any point. So I had no financial gain by her in doing anything. And at the same time, when people make accusations of, Lauren losing money, the thing is, Lauren never actually paid the money that she lost. She still owes me a huge amount of money that she showed some messages of me asking for it. And yeah, life is humbling, and sometimes you can't understand things, because from her side, she sees herself as, this victim that I took advantage of. But in reality, that couldn't be less true. I offered her to stake Sergi with me at one point, because she was losing a lot of money on GG. So I started letting her have action that she never paid for either. So the amount that she was losing of 2.2 million, I wound up making back for her about 1.5 million of our stake of Sergi, her buying pieces of me. And I was also, she would ask me for large amounts of money on party poker. She would ask me at times to pay off her debts from, this game or that game. And she never paid any of the money that she actually lost from GG. So I don't understand, the predator approach. And that's something that, it's tough for me to see, because I mean, it's so against my character to take advantage of anyone. And I'm always so generous and giving and caring. And during this time, me and Lauren would go on trips. I would pay for the rooms. She would fly on some private jets with me. We would go to dinners. I would pay for it. So, I mean, even in my poker career, when I had no money and I was negative, it's like all the people that ever hung around me, like I would really pay for their life. And if they were struggling through hard times, I would loan them money for it. So, it's like it's messages that contradict each other continuously in these allegations, where it's saying, here's one thing, but here's the, something that doesn't make any sense.
So what happened with Lauren? I mean, that's what I think is confusing also. So you guys were very close friends, and clearly something happened, and she is pissed off.
I mean, I don't really like, I prefer not to talk about, other people really, but, our relationship just, it changed a little bit. I met my girlfriend at that time, and maybe it was about a month period where I was hanging out at Lauren's house, and we were spending all day together, hanging out, laughing, talking poker. And then, she would kind of get jealous of my girlfriend, of her not going on certain trips, that, she kind of thought that she should have an invite to every trip that I ever went on. And it turned into something that started to get much more uncomfortable for me. And at the same, for someone who, I've always paid my own way. So when you say, Lauren and her husband let me stay at their house, it's not like I needed to stay at their house. I liked them, and it was a nice, comfortable setting for me, and it worked. But
So I think maybe I need to understand better also. I was under the impression when I started seeing Lauren Roberts come into these high roller events and things, that she was a very wealthy businesswoman, as we've seen plenty of these
Well,
people.
well, that's the same thing that she presented to me. She would make claims to me about having all this money herself personally, and that she had, been a successful trader for all this time. But then, as I see now, I think that she would, fabricate truths of her own success and her own ability to gamble and to play, whereas I know that she lost a lot of money playing poker, and I know that it wasn't, at least most of it wasn't her money. And I know for a fact that that person who it was her money said that she couldn't play any more poker, said it to other people. So, maybe because she sees her poker, her poker, her poker life as, maybe a failure. Maybe she was expecting to be someone like me. She would even make claims like she was asking if I could ask the person who was backing me if they would back her in the same games. And the person who was backing me, they thought that I was the best in the world. And that's why they were backing me for these large buy-in live tournaments. So I think she created a misconception of her own poker skill. And because her career has been so unsuccessful, I think she's trying to grasp for reasons of why it was unsuccessful, other than a poor understanding of her own skill and the games that she was playing in with the bankroll that she had.
Okay, so you're saying the allegations from her are false, and mostly maybe because of a salty relationship in the end, and then some like financial debts potentially that are just never going to be paid.
Yeah, I mean, because she posted a bunch of pictures of trying to make me look bad, but there were also just pictures of me asking her 6 months, 12 months, a year and a half after, just if she could pay me some small amount of money. Because what happened was so I gave Lauren owed me a bunch of money from this GG, and I offered, because she was claiming that she had all of this money herself, I wanted to do the right thing and help her make some of that back so she wasn't losing as much. So I offered her a deal to be my partner, to back Sergi with me for all the games that he plays. The real thing that left a sour taste in my mouth is, since she was unable to pay even just the $700,000 debt that she has right now, it means that when she owed me 2.2 million, she accepted a deal that she was free rolling me for more millions, because it's a similar type of thing. Sergi was playing 25, 50, $100,000 tournaments. It would have been very reasonable for him to lose $1, $2, $3 million straight, which really was more money than I could afford at the time. But I was banking on, that if things went wrong, that she would be able to pay what Sergi lost and be able to pay some of the money towards the money that she lost on GG. But
Okay, so I feel like we need to dig a little deeper into some of the things that Zamani said that it seems like some other people might have validated. And this you touched on a little bit, but in talking about some of these, the satellites, some of the overlays, and talking about putting your team in, and I think the quote was, "Do what's best for the team." Can you speak to that? And
he scoured through his whole messages between me and him, and there's not a single thing that says do what's best for the team. So he might have had some understanding of himself personally, but I never said to anyone do what's best for the team.
And can you speak a little bit to your relationship with GG?
Yeah, I would say that I started out with GG as an ambassador. I translated that deal into something more like an affiliate deal, and I would say influenced and advised them on the tournaments that we should run, the guarantees, the satellite schedules for them, and help them scale their business from what they were when I started to what they are today. There's a whole thing that says online that I was, dropped as an ambassador or something, or fired from GG. That couldn't be less true of a statement. I'm the one who told GG that it was time that my ambassador deal was over. So it was nothing on their side. There was nothing going on wrong in any way that they cut me off. I still have communications with the person who runs that tournament team, with the CEO of that company. They ask me advice in different areas, and there's been there's been nothing bad that's happened, and I've never had, like, I wasn't dropped as an ambassador. My account on GG Poker is still live. I could play with it. It's never been frozen, suspended at any time. And other than Sergi, not another person that I do business with has been frozen or suspended at any time.
Yes or no? Have you ever ghosted on Lauren Roberts or anyone else's account?
I mean, I've had a poker career for like 17 years. Have I been, in the same room as someone and been coaching them at poker and, advise them in a hand or two or some hands? The last thing I'm going to do is claim that I've never helped anyone while they're playing. It's been a 17-year career, and like we were saying before, you learn along the road of what's right and what's not. But absolutely, I never had an operation that was based on a scheme of ghosting. And if I were helping people, it would be because I was next to that person at the time and giving them coaching lessons and had no financial incentive or gain for myself.
Okay, and why did you leave GG?
I felt like it was time in my life. I had other things going, and I just felt like that's what was right for me. One other thing, for anyone, just to state, in this interview, it's live. There were no predetermined questions. I didn't ask you to see any of the questions that you were giving me. I showed up as my true and honest self, and that's what I am, and that's what's important to me.